All my life, been grinding all my life.
Mm.
Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, gotta roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Yep, all my life, been grinding all my life. Yep, all my life, been grinding all my life. Yep,
Oh,
sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Whoa,
oh,
slice, gotta roll the dice. Hey,
talk to him.
oh man, that was like shout outs to Nip, man. R.I.P. One of the OG. I think that was one of the songs I was listening to when I was studying for my MPTE, the
Yeah,
boards.
I'd say that's a throwback right there, dude. I feel like if I gotta learn something like beatboxing or something like that next time we do like a art or like a rap.
They it's something like you just gotta say boots and cats, like boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and
Yo, my enunciation is about to be fire.
yo,
I feel
every
like yeah, understanding how to beatbox is just one of those things where you just have really, really good tongue and I don't know mouth
hey bro,
coordination.
hey bro, chill. You can't be looking at me in the eyes when you say Peter was just asking me if I listen to Taylor Swift Wood.
Sending mixed signals over here, bro.
Yeah, he was like, "Yo, have you listened to Taylor Swift Wood?" And I was like, "Yo, chill, chill, chill." I don't know. I was only
But
listening to Ophelia.
dude, speaking of Travis Kelsey, dude, shout out to the Jags. Got our first
Uh,
dub against the Chiefs in a very long time, man.
Yeah, I think we got to make a reel of that Trevor Lawrence like last touchdown.
Yeah,
It's going to be like you at the workshop without a script, you at the discovery call without a script, you finally using a script and
yeah,
getting
and closing them all.
yeah. Oh man, dude, that was wild. And then you guys had that pick six from like
Yes, sir.
99
99
yards.
yards. Yeah, it was
You guys are
crazy,
good.
man.
4-1, right?
4-1. Yeah, it's the first time in a minute the Jags are doing solid, man.
How's the city like on Sundays? Is like everyone wearing a Jags jersey?
For the most part, yeah, people are surprisingly like people are actually like pretty about it here, no matter how bad the Jags are. I feel like over the last 20 years, Jags have been absolutely awful, but people still show out, man.
Yeah,
We
man.
always got hope.
One of my patients, her boyfriend looks like Trevor Lawrence, and it's just wild. Whenever I see him, I'm like, dude, this is
Long flowy
straight
hair.
long flowy hair. Looks like a freaking like I was gonna say a ponyta for some reason, like the Pokemon.
Yeah.
What's up?
Do you remember the butt fumble by Mark Sanchez when he was on the Jets? This was like in I don't know, like 2012 or 2013. But that was like I had like major deja vu when I saw that play last night. But it's basically very similar. Like Mark snapped it and he ran right into like his center's like ass and ended up like yeah like fumbling it and everything.
Dude, Mark got stabbed.
Mark
He-
Sanchez got stabbed.
yeah, he had like an altercation somewhere or something. He got stabbed and went to the
Shit,
hospital.
this is recent.
Literally, like this past week. Look at us fucking giving current events news as
Yeah,
well.
seriously, dude. We're about to turn this into a social social update on what the celebs are up to.
Well, first off, we should give a quick little update because it's been a good month for some of our peeps.
Yeah, let's
Um,
little September recap for our dogs.
yeah, first one, so Andy sent me a text message, and Andy's someone like if you guys watched the 0 to 10K webinar, he was someone I told him not to join because
Mm.
I was like, dude, you really got to get some of your finances in order. But he was like, dude, I trust you so much, and I've got a great opportunity right now. If you guys can help me make it work, like I'm game. He texted me on Sunday. He goes, bro, the worst advice you ever gave me, maybe don't join a mentorship right now. He's like, I'm calling my boss this week to go part-time, which is awesome. He ended September at 13.6, which is essentially like his first official month with us,
Yeah.
and started off October already with the PIFs. So I'm just like, damn, I literally the equivalent of noceboing somebody when it comes to business coaching. But
Well, I just
this year,
remember. Yeah, I remember like jumping on the call with him, and yeah, I think he was doing around like 2K or 3K, and I was just like, dude, like after hearing your situation and kind of like where you're currently at, like I was like, dude, if you join, like, there's no way that I'm gonna let you fail like your first month in. And lo and behold, dude, like comes in, crushes, not only just 10K, but hits what we hit like 13 point something, right, for first month. So there's just something to be said about like, hey, when all the cards are out there and stuff, and you just, back is against the wall, you got to grind, you make it happen, man, with the right guidance.
Love it, love it. Who you got next? I know who you picking for the win.
I got to shout out my guy, Mr. Smooth Operator, man. My guy Mahib. But yeah, he ended up hitting a PR at 50K. And yeah, this dude's so funny, man. He'll just like every single time he gets a piff, he'll just be like, he'll send me a voice note, be like, Smooth Operator. But yeah, I mean, I think he had like an 8.9K piff, which is solid, huge, man. I don't think I've ever sold a piff that large PT. And then yeah, he initially came into the group at like, I think like 15K. And so what's that multiple right there? 50 divided by 15, more than 3.3x, right? In like what, 5-6 months. So I know 50K for a lot of people is a huge, huge big deal for sure.
Yeah, and I think he initially says like, I just want to get 30K and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
It's sick. Shout outs to Ian, man. Ian got PR at 38K a month, aiming for that 40, but it's around the corner. He got his meta ads started up already. Nice ROI, $600 on meta ads, 5,200 return. That is 8.66x ROI on ad spend. And,
Yeah. And
slowly scaling that ad spend over time, he's going to be able to crush that, aiming for that 40. But, dude, I love the fact when like people will post what the PR was of that previous month and
mhm.
then immediately have the action items of what they know they got to dial in to hit the next one, which is awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I think one really quick tidbit about Ian is he's actually about to build out his own standalone location as well too. So he's got a lot of different moving parts. And I remember like when he first came in, was it like 2 or 3 months ago? Dude, it was kind of just like so many different variables going on at once. I think he had just lost like one or two staff members, and then also had some issues with the current landlord, which kind of prompted out the move and everything. So yeah, shout out to him for just kind of putting his head down, putting to work and learning a new system, right? Learning ads, everything. But I think yeah, one of the good things about just understanding what the right numbers are is exactly what to do this upcoming month in order to kind of help you get to your next goal.
Yeah. Who else you got? We got a couple more.
Dude, my guy, Mr. Jeff Dahl.
Yeah. Immediately, first month.
Immediately, yeah. First month in here, he hit what is it, 18.6 K, right? So I think yeah, previously before was it 11.5K. It was funny, yeah. Same thing. He wanted to kind of like delay starting because he had like a trip coming up, and I messaged him after. I was like, bro, aren't you glad you started this month instead of waiting until your trip is done to get started? But yeah, all these people just super happy for them, especially the first month in, 2 months in. They immediately take action and they start seeing some big results immediately.
And then just last bit, shout outs to Kev, Kendo, and Phil. Everyone's securing the first PIF. That's a good feeling, man, because once you have someone actually pay for a plan of care in full, you know that it's possible. And there's this like switch that kind of occurs in your head where it's like, you can no longer say that no one would pay for this because that limiting belief has now been slayed. So now it's just a matter of getting in front of more people. So huge congrats to them, and I think it's so cool to see people celebrate one another in every stage of it, which is what it's all about.
Yeah, I would say it's easily probably one of my favorite times of the week is really just seeing these weekly wins come in from our peeps, seeing what they're getting after. But I would say one of the big things that these people have, right, is they always know what to do from an action item moving forward. And whereas, like, I think a lot of people, if they've kind of consistently been stuck for a while, right, whether it's at that 20K mark, 30K mark, 40K mark, the reason why they're stuck is because a lot of times they've just been doing the same things over and over and over again. And of course, right, if we're doing the same things over and over and over again, no new inputs, then the output or the outcome is most likely going to stay the same.
Jeez. Transition A plus, because today we're going to be talking about why it's so hard to get kind of over that I would say it's that if for PTs that have a lot of success initially, they hit the 10 to 20K, it's great. But then there's that 25 to 30K, 25 to 35K range that you kind of just keep getting stuck at. And I like to, one thing I'll reference, right? It's Rolex. So if you go to a Rolex store right now, you can't buy a Rolex. Like you can't just go in there and buy a Rolex Submariner. You have to sign up for a waiting list. You have to develop a relationship with the dealer. But despite the fact that Rolex has a waiting list, when you watch the US Open, when you watch all these like significant like tennis tournaments or like golf tournaments, what do you see? You still see Rolex marketing, right? Even though they have a waiting list, they're still marketing. And I think the hardest part about that 25 to 35K range is you're almost losing your mind between servicing the sessions, still trying to maintain lead flow, and it's probably one of the harder transitions I think, or one of the harder transitions to make, and a lot of limiting mindsets and stuff that you have to overcome.
Yeah, 100%. So if we look at any business, there's really three different parts. You have fulfillment, sales, and then marketing. And a lot of times, people that are in that like 20 to 35K, if they are still the only person in the business, then they are doing absolutely everything in the business. They're doing all the marketing. They're trying to do all the admin. They're trying to call these leads and get them on discovery calls, trying to get them booked for evaluations all at the same time while trying to see, like 20 to 25 patient visits a week, right? And so a lot of times people end up running out of time because they're not necessarily they just don't know how to be efficient with it. And so, yeah, one of the biggest things I think I'll say I would definitely recommend for people at this stage is look to bring on potentially like an admin or SDR at this stage to help out with some of the sales transition from lead to evaluation. That way, same thing, they can still focus primarily on a lot of the local marketing, events, and or fulfillment. What about
Yeah,
you?
I would say I agree on that end. Like you need to figure out like what the lowest hanging fruit is for you, like what's taking up so much of your time so that you can start to either do a lot more of what's already working, right? So like if you live in a bigger city and there is so many untapped markets for doing injury screens and workshops, like for sure keep getting after it. But if you're like in a mid-sized city and you feel like you've tapped into almost every boutique fitness that is around you, you're gonna have to start to do something different and market to code traffic. And that's where it's like, are you going to do stuff that takes a longer time for an ROI? And that's going to be the organic stuff, your SEO, your content marketing. Or are you going to try to figure out something that you can pull really quickly and start to see a pretty quick ROI within the first couple of months? And that's going to be your paid ads. And one of the things I'm exploring right now is boosted posts. So I think the main thing you kind of alluded to is people get stuck in a 25 to 35K range because they don't want to do anything differently. They don't want to scale their team and they don't want to try anything new in terms of marketing or double down on the stuff that's working, right? They just kind of are in this like phase where they just don't have time and they're not thinking bigger picture. They're just literally trying to make it to the next week. And that's a tough place to be in.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that I struggled with initially when first starting, I was just feeling like I was capable of doing every single little thing in the business all by myself. Right, like I could do absolutely everything, and only I could do it without being able to delegate it off to anybody else. And I think, yeah, the moment that I realized, hey, like you can actually create SOPs and create Loom videos and actually be able to onboard people to do these things, like that was a really big game changer for me. And I think going back to ads, right? Like a common mistake that people think or common mistake that people make is like they feel like, hey, once they pull the lever on ads, they're gonna immediately get you patients. But that couldn't be further from the truth because ads will again get you in front of more people and people will opt in. So what you currently have are leads. But there's a very big difference between leads and clients, actual clients that are actually, sitting right there in front of you. And so, again, just depending on how you organize and structure your time, you can have all these leads sitting in your CRM, but if you don't have anybody actually doing outbound or nurturing these people to actually get them in, then you're just going to be stuck with a bunch of leads and still no new clients yet.
Yeah, the goal was to like kind of figure out where are your strengths, right? Like if you are pretty good at creating content, it might be the fact that like you hire someone like Peter said, and if you were maybe there's some levers that you haven't pulled yet, right? Maybe the lever is just literally talking to the people that are following you or interacting with your posts and speeding up that nurturing process through conversational marketing in the DMs, because that could be something that you could pull, right? And most of the time, even when you embark on anything, it's like you want to do it enough so that you have an idea of how much it takes to have one person convert. So you might do like DM conversations. And again, I paid for to be in a group that was over 10,000 just to learn DM conversations. And they only wanted us to be doing 5 a day.
Hmm.
And he was like, this is going to be enough to kind of crush it. And some people did see success, some people didn't see success. And in my eyes, I'm like, 5 is just not enough, right? You do 35 in 1 week, but if you're doing 35 a day, which is definitely plausible in some cases, especially if you have help, you could be doing 245 within a week, which is completely different. But you just have to figure out like whatever it is that you're doing, how much money and effort do you have to put in to get that outcome? Because if it's money, you can use money. If it's effort, you can hire somebody. And at some point, you're gonna have to turn one of those dials in. You got to create some sort of predictable marketing lead generation and understand like where these people are coming from. Because if you're just going doing what you're doing, it's like you're just never gonna get to the point where you can like fill up another person's schedule.
Yeah. I think it just comes down to a volume gain at the end, right? So regardless of if we're running paid ads and or like local marketing and or like DM conversations through boosted posts and or through organic, it just becomes, hey, like how many of these events are we doing to generate leads, and how many actual like clients are coming from each one of these specific events. And I think one of the big things that people don't do, especially when they're early on in the practice, is they don't track where all of their clients are coming from. Right? Hey, are these, do you hear about me through like word of mouth? Did you come from like an actual workshop or an event, injury screen? Or hey, did you like maybe find me on Google? The sooner you can actually start tracking these things, it just gives you like a much better insight as to like, hey, where should you concentrate all of your efforts in moving forward, right? And so, say you have like 10 different 10 evals every single month, fairly consistently. Cool. Like how many of these are coming from events? Let's say you're getting like 3 every single month out of those 10 that are coming in from events. Well, great. How many events are you doing? Are you doing one event? Okay, cool. If you're doing one event, that means, hey, for every single one event, you're generating 3 evals. Great. So if we want to maybe increase that, why not do 2? Why not do 3? Why not do 4? Right. So if you can have some sort of predictable system, whether it's like, the having a solid call to action at the end, with workshops where you're closing, 3 out of 12 people that actually show up, a 30% close rate, then the next question just becomes, how can I consistently fill up 12 to 15 people at an event every single time so I can consistently generate this output and outcome that I want?
Yeah, and it's all working backwards with some of these things. And like, I think you just have to keep an open mind. And like, I'm not going to tell you that like I'm absolutely perfect or we're absolutely perfect. It's like we've both gone down rabbit holes, tried things initially, got burned, and then we're just like, fuck it, you brush it off and you try something new again,
Mm.
right? Because it's the same thing like with when you're assessing a patient. You're assessing a patient and you might feel stuck, but then out of nowhere you find this one thing that actually resonates, sticks, makes them feel better, and you know that you can scale that over time to their goals. Beautiful. That's the same thing with business. It's like you're trying as many different things as possible. And the cool part about it is like Peter and I have been exposed to so many different entrepreneurs within our group, and friends that we kind of came up with. And I talked to everyone before doing things, and you get a mixed answers, right? Some people are like, oh my gosh, you got to do SEO. Some people are like, oh my gosh, you have to do ads. Some people are just like, oh my gosh, you have to do meta ads. Some people are like, oh, meta ads suck. You got to do Google ads. And the truth is that every single business is going to vary, and you don't know what's going to work for you unless you actually try it and do it at a very, very high level, which is why, like, initially I did meta ads, didn't work. Did it with another agency, didn't work. Did it with a third agency, started to see some success. Now, again, bringing everything in house, and other things that we're pulling is boosted posts and trying stuff like that. And to me, I'm like, this makes a ton of sense, right? Because I can concentrate concentrate where the post is being boosted to. And one of the things that we did is we essentially took a Google map and we pinned the whole map where every single patient is from. So I
Yeah.
could kind of figure out where the conglomeration is. And you'll be shocked, like, because I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with like New York, but I was like, damn, we have so many people from uptown. Like we have more uptown patients than downtown. And in my head, I was like, whenever I talk to people, I'm always thinking downtown, downtown.
Mm.
So it's like all these little things you have to do. You have to understand your clients so well, know exactly where the hell they're at, and then market the hell out of those areas.
Yeah, I would say one more thing too, that I see a lot in people that are kind of stuck at this age is back end retention. So just being able to consistently keep on, or not maybe everybody, but a certain percentage of people that come through your initial plan of care, right? So again, like maybe you have all these inputs coming in for you. You're doing all these events, you're getting word of mouth. Maybe you're even running some ads, and so you're getting maybe like 10 to 15, maybe even 20 new clients every single month. But on the back end, it's like, hey, we're also discharging like 10 to 20 patients every single month, and so it's kind of like a revolving door of patients coming in, also patients coming out. And that's why it's like, hey, you're grinding so hard every single month to get net new, but it just feels like, hey, revenue wise, just stays exactly about the same. And so if you can have like a really good back end retention system, have a really solid sales process, being able to convert these people onto like a back end membership focused around, whether it's training and or maintenance or, remote programming, whatever it is, right? Some sort of offer that we can still help them out with. It'll basically kind of help close that gap at the bottom, from preventing from people from leaking out. And that's really like how you're able to grow consistently year over year by adding on new staff members, right? Because you're retaining people, not just consistently letting them discharge out on the back end.
Yeah, and as you're doing these things that give you an ROI immediately, like maybe you're pulling the paid marketing thing, maybe you're dialing your continuity offer so that people are sticking around for a while, you can still be building long-term strategies that can help you grow organically, right? And that's posting on social, that's just collecting more Google reviews. Like it doesn't seem like a big deal, but collecting Google reviews just improves your SEO. So it's like if someone searches up physical therapy near me, Google is going to take the person with the most reviews, some of the more common keywords that the person is looking for, and put you in front of it. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's called like Google Map Packs. So it's like if Peter searches up like let's say physical therapy near me, like where does motion RX appear on average for the Google Map Packs, right? And it's like over time you want to see that trend upwards. If you're doing SEO and you're always on like the 13th clinic that shows up, it's like no one's gonna see you on the map. And like think about like when you look up restaurants, you might be looking up like tacos near me or
Mm-hmm.
like burgers near me or whatever. You're really looking at like the first five, right? And maybe the fifth to the 10th. So it's like a simple win is just collecting more Google reviews, and then that bleeds into everything else. But it might be hard to collect Google reviews without having some sort of system in place, right?
Yeah.
And this is where like dialing in the CRM is great because like you can nurture people as they are within your customer journey. So it's like, hey, within 4 weeks of signing a POC and I moved this person to this workflow, it's like they will get some sort of prompt like, hey, how's everything going at moment? If you've been enjoying your service, please write a review for us in Google. It helps us out. After like the 8 to 10 week, we have a drip sequence that gets sent out about asking for referrals and giving a discounted eval. So like instead of you doing this with every single patient, you have an email sequence that does this. And you can also amplify that by having those conversations face to face as well.
Love that. Yeah, and I think the main common theme that I'm seeing now with all these different things that we're recommending, right? Like implementing a CRM, Google reviews, maybe doing more events, maybe running ads, hiring somebody. All these things require more time and more input that you need to put into your business. And I think that's a very common mistake that people make where they just think like, hey, I can maybe just work 25 hours a week or 30 hours a week on my business and it'll just consistently magically grow year over year. But it's like, dude, like what got you from 0 to 10K, 15K, even 20K is not going to be enough of an input to get you all the way up to your next level, right? There has to be like an immediate net influx of more time that you dedicate in toward your business until you can get other people to come in and help offload some of these tasks that you're currently doing. Otherwise, if you're like, you're maybe say you're only allocating 40 hours a week to your business, well then great, like you're only going to be able to do so much, right? But in order to get to this next level, you have to maybe work on an additional 10, 20 hours for a shortened period of time, right? That way you can get all these other systems or, marketing inputs or back end retention things dialed in, right? And then from there, you get people to help out with that. And then now maybe you can take a step back. But I think, yeah, a lot of times, like, I just see people have this common like misconception, like, hey, like I can only like work this set amount of hours within my business, and it'll be enough to get me there.
Yeah, I think and this is gonna sound a little like harsh, but I think that 0 to 25K kind of like range, it's just fucking putting in time. Like just putting in a shit ton of time and doing as many things as possible, taking any opportunity you can get and seeing like what becomes of it. Afterwards, it's like from 0 to 25K, ideally you've serviced at least 100 patients. You look at the kind of profile of these 100 patients and then figure out like what are the commonalities, where are they coming from, right? And then we're like, what has gotten these 100 patients to come through your door? And maybe you start to dial in and focus more on those things. But then after that 25K range, like I would say anywhere from like 25K to like closer to that 100K, it's like you've got to have one really really good repeatable marketing system. After
Mhm.
100K, it's like you've mentioned this before. It's you you got to become a better leader, and there's like all of these like little steps that you have to make, like 0 to 25K, destroy your own limiting beliefs about what is possible. Afterwards, it's like you have to find time again to learn a new skill, and that
Mhm.
skill is going to be marketing. Afterwards, it's going to be, when you get to the 100K range, it's like literally just developing your team so that they can take some of the burden from you and do it at a higher level.
I think, yeah, at the end of the day, people just need to set realistic expectations. Like, I think there's a lot of people out there that are just like, hey, like, let's grow scale to like 50K or 100K. And you can also have like a lifestyle business where you can get your time back. It's like, dude, in what world are you going to be able to hit 100K by like working 15, 25 hours in a week towards this business, right? I think a lot of times, like right now, what's it, kind of like this hybrid approach, right? Where it's like, hey, oh, get your time back by doing some stuff online, do some stuff in person. It's like the whole point is to, get you your time back. But what people don't understand is like the amount of input that you need to do into the business in order to get it to a certain point where you can really leverage your time. And so, yeah, I think people just need to shift their mindset around that. It's like, hey, dude, like in order for me and you, right, both me and you, Andy, to kind of get to where we're at, dude, like we're both working a ton. And we still are working a ton in our business. That's why, like, our business revenue is a direct reflection of like how many hours that we put in. And so it's like, yeah, you got to work hard, but you also got to just understand, hey, what are the right levers to pull? And if you can kind of pair both of those together, it's like, dude, it's a straight shot up.
Yeah. And I was talking to Peter before this, right? Because like we're constantly, like Peter and I, obviously we get to talk every week on the podcast, but we're constantly texting each other like new ideas, right? It's just like new ideas, new ways to do things. And I was just at a freaking coffee shop yesterday, uh, meeting with one of our PTs, and I just had like an hour, and I just like took out a paper and I just like drawing the whole journey again, the whole marketing process, and trying to figure out like what is the thing that is, it's almost like it's undeniable. This is probably the path that we need to go. And once
Yeah.
you write it out, and I'm just like pondering, I'm like, this is fucking it. And now we're gonna fucking execute on that. So when you're doing things, I would give you two words of advice. Like sprint for like 4 to 5 weeks and then take a week to recover, right? Like it's kind of like a traditional periodization. Train fucking hard for 4 weeks, give yourself like a taper week. Train hard for 4 weeks, give yourself a taper week. And then the other thing is like when you're feeling overwhelmed with things, I was actually, after I did a fucking full on high level like meta course, uh, the guy's like, you're gonna get overwhelmed with ads super easily, and your only focus is to improve it about 10% month over month, and that's it. You're not gonna see these ridiculous jumps. He's like, you're just trying to improve it 10%. Can you change the hook? Can you change the creative? Right? Can you change the messaging? Right? All of these little things that you can tinker. All you're looking for is 10% improvement. And I think that hopefully that makes you feel better because, Peter and I, it's not perfect. Like the business, if you got to look behind it, it is not perfect, but it's better than it was last week. And that's all that matters.
Yeah. Here's a good question for you, man. Like, how long should people try something before maybe they realize it's not the right input and they should maybe do something else? Because I think one of the common questions people get, that I'll get, is just like, well, dude, like, how do I know maybe I'm just not doing enough? Maybe I just need to do more of, what I'm currently doing. Is it like, hey, maybe like you try this for, a solid 90 days. And if we're not seeing any kind of like immediate ROI or improvement, cool, maybe we need to pivot in a different direction. Or hey, so maybe like, hey, we got to try this out for 2 years before understanding it's like not the right thing. What are your kind of thoughts on that?
I would say for things that are for anything that's content, it's 100 inputs, right? Like if you're making YouTube videos, posting on Instagram, you're not going to see an ROI until you've done it 100 times. Like I guarantee you, if you post 100 times and you actively think about how to get better at doing the posting and the content creation and stuff like that, especially on something like YouTube, I think the ROI will be insane, right? So when it comes to content creation, it's 100 inputs and hopefully in like a consistent cadence. When it comes to something like SEO, you're not going to see SEO ROI until like, I would say the earliest is probably 3 months if there's so much low hanging fruit. But typically it takes something like 6 months of like working on blogs, keywords, optimization, etc. For something like ads, like I feel like we've had people see some ROI pretty quickly, but you're probably revamping it every 2 to 4 weeks always anyway with that cadence.
Yeah.
So there are certain things I think they do take time. Other things that I think it's just you're almost always doing the thing. You're always almost checking in to see. But
Yeah.
I think the biggest trap, honestly, though, is just saying that it doesn't work within your first iteration. That's the biggest trap. Like just saying, "Oh, this is not the move. Didn't work for me. 1 month, peace. I'm done." Because like you'll run out of things to do, and there's really not that much I would say within our ecosystem for lead generation. Right? There's content marketing. There is going to be email marketing. There's going to be paid ads, Google or Meta. There's going to be SEO. There's boosted posts now that we're playing around with and trying to create. And again, we're just testing stuff that isn't super tried and true quite yet, and see if we can get ROI so that we can teach it to our community. Because most groups are just like, hey, you're going to do workshops, and that's it, right? And an injury screen. So it's like those are kind of the main things that you're going to turn. There's DM 70 conversational. So like you just want to get good at one or two, and then start to add one more. And ideally, when you get good at one or two of those, you start to offload it to somebody else, so you don't have to focus on it so much.
Yeah,
But
for
what
sure.
is your take on like I guess like the how long does it take to see ROI for stuff?
Um, I would say I'm kind of very, especially when it comes to content or trying new things. Like you definitely need the like repetitions in order to kind of see like, hey, you know, is it actually improving consistently time and time over again? But I think something with maybe like workshops or maybe even like sales, right? Something where they've already done it like so many different times before. Like if you're doing workshops and you're doing industry screens and like you're just not getting an ROI out of it, probably means like the way you're currently setting up your like closing page or the current way that you're setting these events up is not the right way to do it. And so yes, like maybe if you're converting maybe like one out of all these events, like doing more of these won't necessarily move the needle as much as maybe approaching it from like a completely different angle. Right. And so you just kind of have to ask yourself, like, hey, will the volume that I do, is it enough to kind of again like outweigh the benefit of potentially coming at it from a different angle? Same thing with like sales, right? It's like, dude, if you're closing 20 to 30% of your evals onto plans of care, like, yeah, you can get more evaluations in and that will potentially help you get more clients. But the way easier lever is to actually learn sales so that maybe you can close at a higher percent, because guarantee you the same thing that you're saying every single time for a let me think about it or a spousal objection, it's not going to change if you keep saying the same shit over and over again. It's not like, hey, like, oh, I just got to practice this one more time. It's like, you're not practicing anything if you're saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I think there is there's always you can always make it better and you can always do more of something, but in the beginning it's easier to make it better and then do more of it because you're going to see a better ROI. If you're not doing it well, doing more of something not well is it's still going to work, right? If you're closing 20% and you do a shit ton more of like conversations at 20% close or like workshops at 20% close, you're still going to see success. Like volume will always work if you see some success, but it's just like not sustainable. So you're better off optimizing first and doing more of it. Or
Yeah.
honestly, just do both. Like it's really not hard to do both when because both options are on the table.
And I'm gonna go ahead and just end it with this bit, right? Like, again, the easiest way to get past a certain plateau is to just get some direct mentorship and guidance from somebody who's literally done it already before. Right? You can literally just have an exact blueprint. And that's why I pay for mentorship and I pay a shit ton for mentorship, because I can see how exactly fast it takes for in order for me to shortcut my success without me having to kind of like try and figure everything out myself. Right. So again, if you guys are stuck, where should they go, Andy?
Oh man, you just gotta freaking honestly, I would say there's a book a strategy call within Spotify. Just book the strategy call if this really resonate with you. But trying to do it yourself is one of the dumbest things you can do. And that's like every single new thing that I'm taking on. Like when I'm talking to you guys about boosted posts, guess what? I just paid a coach to figure that out, right? It's like I'm not doing any of these things on my own anymore because people have made so many painful mistakes and I don't want to make the same ones. I want to grow as quickly as possible, do it in a way that's sustainable. And you have to think about this. There's two types of people. They throw their time at it or they throw their money at it, right? The people that throw their time at it, they're like, hey, I'm going to rehab my back. I'll figure this out myself. I'm going to read all these books and I'm going to go on YouTube. But people that throw money at it, it's like, yeah, I'll pay for 10 sessions. I just want to work with the best. I want to work with an expert. You want to be a person that throws money at it because that's the type of people that you're going to attract.
Yeah. Because I mean, we can always get money back, but what's the one thing we can't get back?
Can't get that time.
Can't get the time, baby.
Hey, keep getting after it, guys. Let's fucking get it. Peace.
Peace.